Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Expansion Pack podcast, where we download this week's gaming news and we bring it straight to you. This is episode 89. I'm your host, Denzel, aka Black Ice, joined by my co hosts each and every week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the YouTubes. We're going to start off with my boy here, Mr. Goopmaster Flex, to my right. What's going on, man? How you doing?
You already know. We just gooping on the spooky way, you know what I'm saying?
On a spooky way. I like that. It's a good. That's the theme of this episode here. It's all about horror games.
Spooky, goopy. The goopy, spooky.
That said, I like that. What does that even mean?
I like that he's talking about the horror stuff. That's what it's about. I'm not, I'm gonna let him slide on the spooky goopy. But hey, it is what it is, man. I gotta respect it. Even if I don't agree with it. So, speaking of which, got my guy Mr. 525 down below. How are you doing today, man?
Tired as usual, guys, but not too tired to talk about some games.
Yeah,
I'm here.
For sure.
I'm here.
Especially now some spooky games. We got two big showcases that one big showcase and another one not as big, but a big deal for me as a fan of horror games and this particular franchise in particular. But we'll get to that a little bit later on, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, in honor of some of the things that were announced at these showcases, hit us off with the buffer for today, man.
Hello, y'all. The buffer for today. Sorry, I came in with some different energy. The buffer for today is it's kind of gonna be the theme of the episode in a sense. What is a game from way back that has not had a sequel recently that you would like to see have a remake? Not a remaster, but a remake. Like them just take new assets, build the whole new game from the ground up, and give us something new. For me, my answer for this, I've been wanting this game to come back for quite some time. I don't think it's ever going to come back because I just don't. It was a very raw game. People might not like if the game came back.
You about to say Manhunt?
Yes. 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 That game, yo, I'm telling you, listen, let me explain, right? If they brought this game back, right, and they really and truly focused on like co-op gameplay, because we didn't have that in the last one. Now it's old, you know what I'm saying? It's way back. Good ass co-op gameplay. Enhance how the mechanics in the game worked in terms of all the hiding and all the cool shit that you can do, stealth and all that stuff. Bro, I don't care what nobody say. Hide and go seek on this kind of level is always fun. It's always fun. I don't care how old you are. If they do it correct, it's fun. Bro, Rockstar, make the game, yo. Just you could restart the whole franchise. Y'all had 2 games, right? 2 games. You could just start back at Manhunt Part 1 and truly, truly flesh it out. You know what I'm saying? We want Bully too, by the way, but for now we're talking about Manhunt. And it would be amazing, y'all. It truly would be amazing. Again, I know it'd be rough for some people because that game is crazy. Yo, you walk past a car with somebody hiding or whatever, yo, you will get hit with all the obscenities.
I feel like we're in a different place now, though. As far as video games and media goes, I don't think it'll be as like controversial as it was when it first came out. But I can tell you one thing:
it was crazy.
I feel like it would get billed more as a horror game now than then. Like,
yeah,
because I feel like when I think about it, it could really just be like a Dead by Daylight style game, but really just like team versus team or like free for all, basically,
right, Yeah. With like more of a emphasis on literally being creative about hiding. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at with it. Mm-hmm. I don't know of any game right now where like, let me not say it like that. There are a lot of stealth-based games. There's a shit ton of them. But like, that truly, truly emphasize on hiding, not necessarily just going behind cover, but I mean really finding a good spot and somehow shoving yourself into it or some shit like that, creative stuff. I don't think that's ever at least been explored well. You know what I mean? Like, I think that'd be really cool to see in a video game, to where the other team really has to put their brains together to figure out where some of the players are. And then on top of it, now you got to figure out how to kill them. Like when you find them and shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I think there's something there, and really wish we could get that one back, man. That was my jam.
You know, at the least, I just want like because it's such a bare bones idea. Like it doesn't need like a AAA budget or anything like that. You know, like just have some indie developer come out with their own version of this, right? Like I think it could be a big deal, especially nowadays. Like, you know, because back when Manhunt came out, like online gaming wasn't really big. You know,
yeah.
Like imagine the lobbies.
That's what I mean, bro. Yeah, man.
Toxic ass lobby.
Man, and that's what I mean. The co-op potential with this stuff is crazy. Really, like I'm just thinking about different ways that you could just like get people, different ways that you could. Bro, apps in the game. You had some barbed wire and crazy mess and stuff. Man, have you ever even played that?
What, Manhunt?
Yeah.
No.
Never seen it.
I've seen like gameplay of it, but I haven't played it.
It's a relatively old game, so
yeah, like I know like they brought it back on Game Pass, but like, you know, it's just one of those game. I think it was
Oh shit!
no, either Game Pass or I think they just like put it in the backwards list. I think
it might be in the backwards compatibility list, but I don't think it
but
was.
I don't think it was
Pass.
in Game Pass. Yeah, I might be wrong on that one.
All right. But Manny, what's your take? I already know. I feel like my pick. I don't even think you were alive when my pick was out. So,
see, you know, I'm kind of upset because like I read the question wrong. I thought you said like remaster, but like it's a whole remake. So like I would say like what I wanted remaster at first. So like I feel like what game should have been remastered is Saints Row 1 and 2. Fuck the new shit. Just go back to the old school. Fucking bring that back with I don't care if you put the modern physics or the old physics. Give me something. I don't want this new shit anymore, man. I miss Saints Row. Just give me Saints Row, man. But it was mid. You know what I'm saying? It was like, and it's so funny because like everybody makes fun of me for saying like mid now, but like I think it's true. This shit is just mid. Like you either like it or you don't, and like it's still not even a good game. So like that's for that. But you know what? I feel like maybe not L.A. Noire specifically, but like I guess like another like remake of L.A. Noire. Just like since we're on the topic of Rockstar right now, just bring that shit back.
I'm here for that.
Because that game for its time was a masterpiece, and it's sad that you know like I forgot what the studio was that made it, but like they just like that whole studio was like shit, I guess. But like, just bring it back. I'm sure they have the resources now. Just fucking give me another L.A. Noire, fucking 19 whatever hundreds. I don't know what year exactly it is, but that shit was hard. I loved every second of that game, and I feel like they can bring it back and do a phenomenal job.
Bro, I would love that. That is a great pick. That really is a great pick. L.A. Noire was definitely like, it was just different, bro. It was different. Like trying to solve mysteries and like actually, you know, take into account people's facial expressions and like their little tells to see whether or not they were lying. Bro, that game was ahead of its time. You know what I think would be perfect to play that game now is in VR. Like interacting with people in VR and like really, you know, seeing them eye to eye and shit like that. I saw
something about L.A. Noire VR.
It probably is. It probably might have been one of the first like PSVR games that, you know, that got like ported or whatever because it makes too much sense. Yeah. All right. So then
the case file. That's what it's called.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Then I mean, make a new one. Put that shit on Quest 2 or whatever. The next thing is that, you know, put it on the PlayStation VR 2 or something. But like, I think that makes a lot of sense. Or something up.
Yeah,
like
give us L.A. Noire, but like it sucks because we know with this generation of gaming, we ain't never gonna get that.
I'm not gonna say never. Especially the way gaming is now, I would never say never. We got all types of crazy games, bro.
You know, you're right.
Look, bro, JoJo Siwa, she got a game. If she could get a game, that's all I'm gonna say. If she could get a game, never know.
One day they might just surprise us, Rockstar, man, and just say the classics that like nobody really cares about, and just bundles them together in some like package one day.
Yeah.
Good.
That would be dope, but like I don't want remasters. Like you said, give us a remake.
Yeah, we need the remix. I'm fine with that. So for mine though, I'm bringing this way back, way back. Chris, I think you'll know this. Manny, I know you weren't alive when this came out, but you may still know the game. I want some Turok, guys. Bring back my guy Turok. Yeah.
The only one I played was like the one that I think was trash. The fucking one for the original Xbox Evolution or whatever. I forget what
that one was
was bad.
Dog
but I only played that one. I remember playing like local multiplayer with like my cousins and shit when they would come over like back then for that game. But other than that, I haven't played the originals.
Yeah, but like
Jesus.
I don't even know who owns the rights to that game anymore. Like I know it was a comic book first and whatever, but like if Microsoft wanted to find a way to compete against Horizon, they could go ahead and get the rights to that, because Turok was mainly a first-person shooter as well, and obviously Xbox is, known for first-person shooters. I know they're trying to branch out. I get that. But, you can make like a first-person remake or, just do Turok in first person as it was and kind of, flush it out and give it a really interesting story and crazy high-fidelity graphics. And, like the thing with Turok was there was crazy shit going on in that game that extended beyond just like a, traditional like dinosaur hunting and shit like that. I remember there was like aliens in one of the spinoffs that they had going on. You have options, you know what I mean? So I know that Ark people tend to kind of look at Ark and say like, oh, like what if a Turok, what if you guys did Turok instead of Ark or whatever? Like, yeah, I think that would be really dope. Like a really high fidelity version. Maybe give that to the guys who are making Wolfenstein. I know that they're supposed to eventually make that Indiana Jones game, but whenever they're done with that, give that to the Bethesda team that's making Wolfenstein and just have them go all in on like a first person Turok game. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be.
You know what? You know what else they need to bring back, yo? They need to remake Dino Crisis. Yo. Just give us that too.
I don't know what Capcom's doing with that one, man, because people have been clamoring for Dino Crisis, and then they go ahead and give us, I don't even remember the name of that fucking game, but they give us some like random ass game that like when I first saw the trailer, I was like, is this Dino Crisis? No, it's some other random ass shit that I think is like PlayStation 5 exclusive. I don't even remember fully, but like I know they have some random game coming that I was like, damn man, just give us Dino Crisis. That's all we want. Dino Crisis.
I agree.
And Power Stone. And Power Stone, Capcom. Don't forget Power Stone. I've been talking to y'all about this for a minute now. Give me my fucking Power Stone.
That's one of the few fighting games you already know, bruh. You already know.
Yes, sir.
Power Stone coming out?
Yes, sir. We talked about it before, though. Fighting games are making a little comeback, so maybe Capcom might want a little bit more of the piece of that pie as opposed to just Street Fighter. Finally get back into the Power Stone game. We'll see.
Awesome.
Maybe we'll make it happen just by talking about it.
Whatever we say just always comes to light, guys. So,
but Chris, thank you for the buffer, though. Plenty of games that we all want to see remastered, remade. Really, whatever. We just want to see some of those other things brought back. Because
yeah, for sure.
Some of the newer stuff isn't really hitting. As much as I would like for them to come up with some new IPs, like some of the new IPs that they've been trying to make have kind of fallen flat on their face. But alas, it is what it is. But speaking of making some old stuff new again, like I mentioned beforehand, we got two big showcases that just passed in the past couple of days. Today was Resident Evil showcase where they showed off a couple of things here and there. Y'all already know. Big Resident Evil fan, so I was very excited to see that. But yesterday, we also got the Silent Hill showcase. And they came correct, man, for not having to see any Silent Hill stuff since what, PT? Back with Kojima when that flamed out. They came pretty hard with some of the stuff that they announced. But again, I do want to start with the Resident Evil one. So yeah, that was earlier today. They considering the fact that Capcom has already been pretty consistent with Resident Evil news, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. It really was just more of a refresher kind of a showcase. We didn't really get too much big new news. We got basically kind of a refresh on the new what's it called? Winter's Expansion, basically. So we're supposed to be getting a new campaign with Rose and then a couple other little features here and there. They talked about the Resident Evil Village Gold Edition that's supposed to be coming out. But to me, the big showcase of that whole thing was just seeing more Resident Evil 4. Like, I mean, Resident Evil 4 is easily one of my top 5 games of all time. Like, it honestly, it changed gaming, like it, as far as like the third person view, like it went on to influence games like Gears of War and so on and so forth with how, that they handled horror, and then also the third person camera angles, the shaky cam stuff, like that was kind of a pivotal moment in gaming, in my opinion. And for it to come out on GameCube, nonetheless, little old GameCube that was struggling to keep up in the fight. But man, yeah, that was an amazing game. I think that's a lot of the reason why I cling to that game so heavily, because everybody had like their PlayStation, their fucking Xbox. My ass was with the GameCube, man.
Bro, I heard they had one for the Wii too, right? Like,
So just to reiterate, so like when Resident Evil 4 initially came out on GameCube first, which was like kind of a weird decision because again, it was GameCube. Nintendo at that time was transitioning into that like really only more kiddie game type of stuff. Like even the design of the GameCube was just very childish. So it was weird to have such a like visceral and hardcore like horror game show up on that platform first and foremost. It eventually made its way over to the PlayStation and then the Wii and and so on and so forth because of how successful it was, really. But yeah, man, that was like one of the few like rated M games we had on the platform. So when that shit came out, obviously I was already a big Resident Evil fan, but like when it came out, I was like, yeah, like I remember sitting in my room playing that shit. Way too young to be playing a game like that, but man, that shit was amazing. Oh God, Resident Evil 4 was such a banger. But for any of y'all who haven't seen it yet, definitely recommend you check out the trailer because man, it is absolutely gorgeous. And I have to tip my hat to Capcom, man. Like we talk a lot about when remasters and remakes come about. A lot of the time, it feels like a cash grab. Sometimes they don't necessarily do things right, or sometimes they just do it too soon. Like we've talked about with Sony and some of the things that they've done in the past. But these Resident Evil remakes have been fantastic, from Resident Evil 2, 3, and now as we're seeing with 4. Like it's phenomenal because the game is still itself at its core, but they really modernize it. I can say specifically with Resident Evil 2 and 3, they pretty much took the mechanics of Resident Evil 4 with the over the shoulder camera and like adding a couple little things here and there. And I just think they've done such a great job with it so far. Now, I guess I'll stop talking for a little bit because I do want to get your guys' impressions on this stuff. Manny, I'm going to start with you on this one. But from what you've seen from Resident Evil 4 in particular, like I know that some of the stuff that they showed off today was different from even some of the things that we see in Resident Evil 2 and 3. Like, for example, there was a crouch feature that I saw that was definitely never been in Resident Evil 4. So, what do you think about that? What do you think about the presentation as a whole and, how they're pushing the franchise forward?
Yeah, I do agree. This game definitely does look amazing in my, in our collective opinion. But yeah, it's even just like the little segment with the gameplay and, when they had the little town in the beginning with the chainsaw dude and just fucking the character. Whoever's playing was absolute dog shit, first of all. But like, I'm sure that's like to showcase some of the animations, but like he was getting wrapped up left and right.
He was definitely getting grabbed on purpose because I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, at one point I thought it was like doing on purpose to get killed by that chainsaw dude, but he kept on avoiding it. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. I can play the game for you if you like, but no, but the gameplay showcase fucking looks amazing. Like you said, the whole crouch feature got me thinking there's gonna be some sneaky elements in the game that she got to do, but Yeah, I'm freaking excited, especially since it is getting that, modern treatment with the RE engine and all that bells and whistles. The game looks amazing. I can't wait to try it out. One thing I do wish, like not just from Resident Evil 4, I was like thinking more of like Resident Evil 1. Like I wish Resident Evil got the same treatment as this,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like it sucks that like because they already remade it and they can't just go back and remake it again. But
Well, the thing is, they remade that game a lot of times. Like I think Resident Evil 1 was remade slash remastered a bajillion times. So like I think that's probably why they were like, all right, well, we're good. Let's just focus on 2 and push up from there because like Resident Evil 0, like they did all these random
yeah,
things to retell that same story. So it was like, all right, we can't touch that one. So I definitely hear you there.
yeah. But like other than that, I'm excited. I just hope they don't alter it a little too much like they did with Resident Evil 3 and shorten that game a lot because I completed that game in like 6 hours and I was kind of disappointed. But other than that, yeah, pretty excited.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing you brought up there. I do hope that they're not going to shorten the game because that's probably the only gripe I can think of with the way these games have panned out so far. 4 was definitely a very long story. There was a lot to explore there, so I hope they don't shorten it. But yeah, everything else looks good so far. Chris, did you play Resident Evil 4 in the past?
Played it.
Okay.
This is one of them games where it's like, how do I put this? Certain games have built up to legendary status, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is like up there. You got your Skyrims, you got your this, you got your. Even I could even throw like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in there because everybody knows that game is the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like games like those. But remember when I was younger and the game was about to come out on GameCube? Yeah, like you said, it was a humongous deal, humongous big deal. And I also will agree with the idea that it did change and to help us get to where we are now in FPSs and shooters in general, just with that over-the-shoulder bullshit. Games was not like that before that game came out. I remember at the time, everybody and their mama made such a huge deal about it. And it's crazy because now you look at it, it's like it's not that big of a deal when you really think about it. It's just a camera angle, but
Yeah,
like it made you so much more immersed in the game. It wasn't even funny, So yeah, this see, I don't have a problem with remakes when they're done in the right way. And this is one of them situations where, again, legendary status game, and the old version of the game or the original version it's dated to shit. So if somebody wants to go and experience this legendary game, because when games are this huge, you gotta like keep doing them, in my opinion, because people should experience this at almost every level. To me, you're gonna make money off of it. Why not? So this kind of remake, yes, you can do this. This is fine. This is completely different than like Last of Us or whatever, where you got to really try to sit there and find the reasoning for why they're doing it. Whereas this, yes, perfect. And yeah, it looks good. They definitely took their time with everything. I think it's gonna please a lot of people, just at least aesthetically. Big deal with this game too. It was the first one where it was everybody made a big deal about the idea that it was the people and they turned into those things. And it was like, bruh, they're not regular people. They be talking. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody was they be talking.
Yeah, because they're not technically zombies. They're like infected with this thing, and like it's the whole thing. They like speak to you in Spanish, and
That was such a big deal. Everybody in school talked about that, man. They be talking, bro. It's crazy now. Yeah, it's cool to see games like this get another second wind.
Yes, sir.
And I don't see how this flops. This is gonna do what it needs to do. It'll be good job. Good job.
Yeah. Oh man, it would be but it would be like the biggest like ball drop if this game was bad, because 2 was good and 3 was the remakes of those games were good. Village is good. Like like they have been on a tear since. Really, I want to say since what? Resident Evil 7? Since they like refreshed all that stuff, like Capcom's been on a tear with these games. They have not missed. So I'm eating good over here because again, one of my favorite franchises of all time. So loving it. Hope they keep up with that. I will go and say this though. I think we all kind of suspected that 4 was gonna be remade. I think we even talked about it on this podcast, a couple years back. But this definitely tells me that I think they're gonna go all the way to 6. And 2, 3, and 4. Well, 2 and 4 were great games, right? Two was amazing. I mean, that's what put Resident Evil on the map. 3, it was like kind of like a more of a cult following, I guess you could say, in a sense. But and obviously 4, like I said, like that changed gaming. 5, I loved 5 because it brought me co-op. But that's where the series started to, like tail off a little bit. Like things were getting a little outrageous with Chris. Chris was out here punching boulders and all this other stuff, like big meathead ass Chris. So, it was what it was with that. But then, you had the co-op elements with Shiva, and I don't know. Like I said, I enjoyed it, but it definitely wasn't the same. Like it didn't hit the same as Resident Evil 4. And then 6 hit. Oh my God. 6. Manny, did you play 6?
I played like Chris's story until like a certain point, but it stopped because like the game just kept on crashing at one specific spot, and I was like, I'm just not gonna play this anymore because I'm stuck in a spot. Fuck it. But I heard, like everybody said, yeah. Everyone said, I feel like this is one of the situations where like they altered, 2 and 3. You can alter 5 a little, don't alter 4, but you can alter 5.
That's what I'm saying though. That's what has me like excited about the way this is all trending now. Is like you have a chance to kind of rewrite your own history and fix your mistakes, right?
Oh yeah, no.
You can go back and make 5. You can go back and make 6. Now here's something I want to be super clear about, right? Because people always say this shit, and I don't like it. Do not take away co-op from 5 or 6 when you remake them, right? 5.
I was gonna say maybe that might be a better idea.
No. Because specifically with 5, that's what made that game enjoyable. Was going through and playing co-op in that game. You have the tools now to go ahead and fix the problems that arose from having a co-op, version of that game. Like one of the things that I think they did really well is effectively is when did 5 come out? Did Gears?
I came out like in.
But I'm trying to think. Did Gears of War come out first, and then 5 came out? So the thing that Gears of War did such a good job about with the co-op elements was it split you up often enough that there were high stakes from you not being close enough to each other to revive each other or do whatever needed to be done. And then 5, I think, 5 took the elements that they saw from Gears of War and did that, right? There were certain moments where you were split up, but I didn't feel like it happened enough, and I didn't think they raised the stakes enough. And I think that when you remake 5 and you remake 6 and you add the co-op elements in, you do more of that. More of the, okay, like I have one other extra person, but we're split up now. And, there's certain puzzles that we have to figure out being split up. There's certain things that are happening that are high stakes because I just feel like that level of co-op is fun when you're both like freaking out, like, oh my God, no, you gotta do this. You gotta hit this button before I like get crushed by a pillar or something like that. Like those moments, those high pressure moments, they make gaming memorable. Like they make some of those stories and situations that come about memorable. Like I'll never forget with Chris. I'll never forget this with Gears of War. And we talked about this before, I think, on the podcast. But the first time I tried to fight a berserker with this man, I still, to this day, have never heard him scream the way he screamed when he got trampled by a berserker.
That was a little bug.
Shit's scary though. Shit's scary.
All right. I don't even know what he's talking about, y'all.
Okay.
I don't even know what he's talking about. I don't even know what he's talking about.
That was a top 10 game moment for me because this man was a big PlayStation head back then, so trying to get him over and play Gears of War was definitely a big deal. And then just the way it all went down, man, was so fucking funny.
Yo, it startled me so bad, bruh. I remember I was in like a dark tunnel, or I don't even know where we were.
So we were stuck in a hallway, and you were trying to get to me because we had to like maneuver around him to get outside and use the Hammer of Dawn. And you got stuck. And he was like, nah! Oh man, my
Shit is
man's got
traumatizing, man.
trampled. It wasn't a good look.
Yeah, my whole body was Play-Doh, bro. You fucking got me.
Oh man, I remember I was laughing so hard that like, cause you just died. You died. I think you died instantly. I couldn't go revive you. So like we respawned back in, and I'm still laughing. And then I died because the thing trampled me. It was it was definitely top 10 gaming moment for me for sure.
Hilarious.
So that's like a core memory. Oh shit. But yeah, like those moments, they stand out. So that's why I'm like, you can put the co-op elements in a horror game. You just have to do it right. And I think that this format that they have will allow them to go back and fix the things that were wrong with 5, fix the things that are wrong with 6. As I'm looking at how they're handling 4, it's like I'm noticing like Leon's way more nimble now, right? Like if you do something, like he has like a split second where he could do like a roundhouse kick. I think I saw that in the trailer. And I was like, oh, okay, that's dope. Like, or if you get grabbed, like you can either mash X, but I saw that there was an option to pull out your knife and like stab somebody with it. But I think if you stab them with the knife, you lose it, so you have to go back and get it. So there's like, like stakes around what you do, the decisions that you make, and that stuff that's just cool. That's cool elements that you're adding into a game that didn't have it beforehand. So, obviously the crouch feature too. Like I'm curious to see how that plays out. Having to be more stealthy around like the chainsaw guys and all this other stuff. Creating more tense moments. Honestly, kind of in the vein of Last of Us, right? Last of Us, there's a lot of moments where you have to really get around clickers, and not get caught out. Like those are really tense and good moments that again make a game memorable. So adding those elements into Resident Evil 5 is great. It's absolutely great. So very excited for Resident Evil, the future of Resident Evil. I was really holding out hope for like a Resident Evil 9 announcement or something, or even like a little teaser, but we didn't get much. We definitely didn't get anywhere near as much as the next thing we're going to talk about here, and that was the Silent Hill, what they're calling their transmission. Really is their showcase. We got four games, ladies and gentlemen. 4 games out of that. Well, we'll say 3 games and like a experience. I don't really know what the one of them is, but we'll kind of just go down the line here. So first things first, they started off really strong with the announcement of the Silent Hill 2 remake that's actually being made by Bloober Team, the same guys who made Layers of Fear, the Blair Witch game, and then of course The Medium, which is a game we've talked about here on the podcast a number of times. And I think we even covered that they had announced, Konami and Bloober Team had announced that they would be working on some Silent Hill projects. They did say projects plural, so I'm wondering if we'll see some more remakes or even like a mainline story coming down the pipeline. But I have to say, man, this Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill 2 remake reminds me of the Resident Evil 2 remake in its stylings, and like it has that same vibe to me of modernizing the game. Although I feel like we didn't see as much gameplay, so I don't fully know what to expect. But I know graphically that trailer really stuck out to me. It's very good. A little disappointed though that it is going to be on PlayStation and PC exclusively for a year, so we won't be able to play that on Xbox until a year afterwards. But fortunately, I have my PlayStation 5, so I will probably pick that up there. Yeah, I mean, we'll start with that one. What did you guys think about that trailer? Manny, I know beforehand you mentioned that you had never played Silent Hill 2, so what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a good first-time experience, because it sucks that, now we're restricted to, like, currently that backwards compatible version of the 360 game. But, we heard that's, like, a shitty port just for the simple fact that they took out the fog effect that really made Silent Hill, like,
oh yeah, that's like the staple of the game.
Yeah, more intimidating shit. So I'm glad it's looking like that. They're bringing back the fog. They actually like showed a little like snippet of like the dude hitting like the fucking zombies or whatever with the bat. And I'm just like, the gameplay looked like that, where it's like the camera's like stationary in one spot. That's gonna be a little interesting, but like I'm willing to obviously take my chance, because like this is one of those games, like Chris mentioned, a legendary game that has to be remade for the people to like experience the story that was told.
You're right, definitely right. I have to say I'm not surprised that they aren't changing the whole camera angle thing, because that was a big part. I mean, you can argue that with Resident Evil as well, but I feel like more with Silent Hill, the camera angles and the way things were structured was a big part of making you feel very uneasy. And I think that's the big difference between Silent Hill versus Resident Evil. Resident Evil had horror elements where it was like you have to fight to survive, you know, like literal survival horror. Silent Hill has always been like psychological horror, just completely fuck with your head. Like basically, if you think about everything that happened in that I forget the name, but in that dollhouse in Resident Evil Village,
Yeah.
that is like at its core kind of what Silent Hill is all about. It's just like you can't fight back necessarily. It's just things fucking with your head. Like, oh, did I actually see what I just saw over there? Like this thing just magically disappeared. And then like the creatures that you end up fighting are like really strange looking, like the pyramid head guy. Yeah, Silent Hill is just it's a different breed all on its own. So it makes sense to me that they would lean like a lot more into camera angles and just feelings of unease and fog and thinking that you saw something in the distance down in the fog that you didn't actually really see. Now it's behind you. Now it's over here. You know, like all that type of shit was really big with Silent Hill. So I'm glad to see that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say if they kept that camera angle, I'll be down because I do enjoy like the classic Resident Evil with the classic camera angles that will like fuck you up, but like I'm just I'm feeling it, man. Like you said, just like gives it that psychological horror aspect of like what's you got the camera angle pointing at one direction, like you just fucking focus on one thing, and then you see like something shift around in the back, and you're like, what the fuck? So you know what I'm saying, like.
Yeah, and I think Bloober Team does a good job with that type of stuff. When we played the medium or whatnot, even though I know we didn't finish that game and there was kind of mixed reviews about it at the end of the day, I think the atmosphere was a big thing that they did well. I just think now that they, have basically like a AAA budget to remake an entire game, and they already have a framework there. I think there's good things to be found there. But Chris, I want to get your take on this, man. I know growing up, Silent Hill was just a kind of a thing that we talked about. It was like a Silent Hill versus Resident Evil thing back in the day on PlayStation. So what do you think about this?
I'm going to keep it 1,000 with y'all. Exactly what you just said applied to me 100%. Where Silent Hill was very creepy for me when I was younger. I couldn't get through those games. Like I literally couldn't get through them, bro. The last time I remember really trying to play one, I want to say it was PT. I think it's been a while. Bro, I must have got through maybe like a half hour, 40 minutes into the game. And the intros are pretty light, right? The intros are pretty okay for the most part. Start seeing some shit, like you said. Man said that some of these motherfuckers is creepy and just weird and just not right. And that whole fog thing that they got going on, and I think the camera angles, again, I agree with that as well. There's actually a particular scene I remember in one of the games, couldn't tell you which one, but I think I was in a mall or some shit. The fog was all over. Dog, it got to a point where I barely had nothing and I didn't even want to take steps forward. I was like, yo, I don't want to walk into no crazy shit, man. And I'm saying to myself, I can't play this game, dog. Like nowadays, I probably could get through it if I really tried to like sit down. At what was I, like 11, 12 or something like that? It's a while back ago, man. That shit was. I'll put it this way, y'all. It's so creepy to the point where even though it may not be for your boy, it does belong in the gaming world. And I say that it's creepy in a good way. Like it feels super uncomfortable while you're playing it. I don't know, man. That game just feels like demonic, yo.
Yeah,
it don't feel right, bro. It feels.
I agree.
It don't feel right, and it feels like something wrong when you're playing the game, bro. Like I don't know how else to say it, but it just gives you this really just.
Yeah, they
uneasy.
did
uneasy.
They did a great job of like setting that level of unease because it's like you have no context for what's going on. You just like talking about the OG one. I mean, I guess even with Silent Hill 2, it's like you're basically just strolling into this town with no idea what's going on. It's completely deserted. You're just seeing fog everywhere. And I think the first one you're playing as a female, you're looking for someone in particular, I think. And like, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where if we'll get to it later, but like, if any of you had seen the original Silent Hill movie that came out, you know, you're just sitting there like, if you had never played the games, you're just watching the movie. You're like, why are you going further into this town? There's literally nothing here. Like, I think there was like, I mean, I think there was like a moment early on where like I think she saw a child running or something like that, so she like went to go chase after the child. But it's like as you start to kind of think a little bit longer, you're like, there's literally nothing here. Nobody's here. Nothing's happening. It's just fog. This is a desert town, a ghost town, whatever. Why are you moving further into this shit? And then it gets to the point where it's like, well, now there's no turning back. You're done. You can't leave because you try to leave, and then the whole world gets like fucked up, and it's like you're running back, but you really end up in another place. Like that game is fucked up. Just leave it at that. The game is fucked up. Music.
You know what I think needs to happen? I'm sorry to cut you off, but you know, in order to make this game really successful, they need to bring back the ending where you fucking dude walks into the room and you see the dog controlling everything. They need to bring that back. They got to bring that back, man. If they don't bring that back in the game, the remake is a fail. They can I don't care.
Man, he's calling it now, yo. If you don't do this,
give us the dog ending. Give us the dog ending. I don't care how we get it. I want it.
Oh man, I thought that was funny that they like alluded to that in the stream, but yeah, that secret ending, supposedly. I think they said not many people had found that one.
I like I said, I never played the game, but like when I saw it in the meme, I was like, this shit's hilarious. Like, why is a dog controlling everything?
Because why not? With a game like that, literally, why not? Why not?
No, that shit. Nope. No. Hard to play that and then go to sleep in the darkness after, bro. I'm just letting you know. It just has you in a weird feeling after, bro. I'm telling you, it feels like you're doing incantations while you're playing the game. No game should make you feel like you're summoning demons, bro.
Honestly, for me, it's like this is super weird, but like I don't know when I'm playing that game, or when I feel like I remember this back in the day, but like even watching the trailers, it gave me that same sense of like I don't know, you know, that weird feeling of you like, maybe I'm the only one who's experienced this, but like you watching yourself, like I don't know how to explain it better than that, but you just like, this feels weird. Everything about this moment feels weird, and I feel like I'm like watching myself do everything that I'm doing, and it's just I'm honestly getting goosebumps like mentioning this right now. Like it's just such a weird phenomenon. Like that's how I feel playing and looking at the Silent Hill game. So I don't know if I'm gonna be playing this. I probably will, because you know I'm a sucker for horror games at some level nowadays. But yeah, it just makes me uncomfortable. I'm literally like brushing off goosebumps right now.
And this is the older ones that made us feel this way.
Yeah.
So just like imagine what this new shit about to do to us, bro. Like it's gonna be that, but like remastered. So it's gonna look better, gonna feel different, gonna sound different. And we all sitting here with these dumbass SteelSeries bullshits, bro. Bro,
sounds about to be too real, bro.
Bro.
About to hear fucking tip tapping like 2 hallways down. Like, what was that? Like, yeah.
Shit, you better put your shit on base. Stop playing.
Honestly, this stuff might apply to literally the rest of the games that we're about to mention here. But you know, that's one thing from Silent Hill 2. But you know, we have a couple other games to mention here. So honestly, the rest of these we know nothing about. I'll just start by saying that we don't truly know anything about them. But the next game that they went ahead and revealed was Silent Hill Townfall. They basically just call it a spin-off that's being made by No Code Stories and Annapurna. And I mean, I can't even think off the top of my head. They made 7 minutes, 5 minutes. What was the name of that game? 12 minutes. They were behind. They published 12 minutes. And they have a lot of those like indie style games, you know, unique games that kind of push the limits of you know what most indie games are. And some of them are like horror based, some of them are just mystery and whatnot. So it kind of makes sense that they would team up with Silent Hill on this one here, but really don't know much about it other than that it's just kind of like a little spin-off. They gave us a little trailer with not much to go off of other than me feeling creepy and uneasy again with goosebumps all over me. So, you know, it is what it is with that. Then the next one they went ahead and announced was Silent Hill F. And at first I thought that might have been F for 5, but it seems like they're calling this one a spin-off as well. And apparently this one's set in the 1960s in Japan. And they're partnering with actually some pretty well-known Japanese writers. I'm not even going to try to say this name. I'm going to butcher it completely, but a well-known Japanese writer who's written some pretty highly acclaimed visual novels in Japan. And again, not much more information than that. Really, the trailer that they showed off, it just looks like a girl being trapped by flowers, and then she eventually becomes a flower. So I'm assuming that's what the F is for. I definitely cannot wait to learn more about those. We're not getting release dates on any of these things too, so I found that to be quite interesting. And then the last one, and this one really bears some discussion in my opinion, but it's Silent Hill Ascension. And I'm gonna read off what IGN kind of described it as here, because I really don't know what else to explain it as. But they go on to say basically that this is probably the most unique announcement, and I definitely gathered that as well. So they announced Silent Hill Ascension, an immersive project where participants around the world control the characters in a new Silent Hill story. Basically, a Let's Play Pokemon version of Silent Hill story that will be live on multiple platforms. Silent Hill Ascensions is a collaborative effort between Genvid Entertainment, Bad Robot Games. Bad Robot is oh my god, what's his name? J.J. Abrams. That's his production studio, so that's kind of cool. Behavior Interactive and DJ2 Entertainment. So that's like 4 different studios right there. What the fuck is this, guys? This is like,
Yeah.
sounds very weird. Like, honestly, it kind of reminds me of did any of you end up playing As Dusk Falls?
I have it downloaded. I just didn't play it yet.
Okay, so there's a mode in As Dusk Falls where, like, if you're streaming, you can like kind of like have, like, if you're streaming on Twitch in particular, you can have the users interact with what you're doing, kind of like voting for it in a sense. It sounds like that could be what this is, but literally more baked into the game. So I'm very, very curious as to what the hell they're about to do with this. This honestly, low-key kind of sounds like what Kojima is going to end up doing with Xbox, where, you know, he said he wanted to make something unique that was social and in the cloud. So this kind of sounds like something similar to that. So I'm wondering if that's what, you know, eventually might be like a more AAA version of what Kojima does. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about this one, Chris? I'm gonna start with you. Like, what's your take on this thing? Does it sound interesting to you? Do you think you have an idea of what it is?
No real idea per se, but it does sound interesting. Yeah, I can't really get a grasp on what it fully is. I feel like I need more details and whatnot, but I definitely think it's interesting as hell.
It just sounds it feels very experimental to me, which is
I don't
good.
I don't know how it's gonna turn out. It's one of those things where it's like you almost wish you could see them try it with something smaller to see how like it's gonna happen or how it's gonna turn out first before you go balls to the wall with it. Because I don't know, it's a new thing, so it's like the guinea pig or like the how can I put this? The first gen of something, you know. So
True.
I expect there to be like some issues and shit, you know. So I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna work out. On paper, it sounds cool. Innovation. You know, we're always here for that stuff. It's always
For sure.
trying new shit.
For sure.
I can't sit here and tell you 100% that it's gonna go flawlessly because
I just wish they did a better job of showcasing. Like they give a little trailer and like it felt very like markety to me, and I feel like, I mean, maybe this really isn't something that's marketed to gamers per se. Like I really feel like I have no grasp or understanding of what this is supposed to be, and I'm just like, I'm here for it because, you know, and I think that's ultimately what benefits from using a name like this, Silent Hill, It's like when you kind of break it all down, Konami hasn't really been in the game for a while. This is a big deal in just the fact that Konami is actually making like a like tangible step back into gaming. But there's also these like transmedia elements to all of this as well, right? So obviously, they kind of lead it with okay, Resident Evil. God, keep doing that. Silent Hill 2. They lead with Silent Hill 2 remake. Okay, then they talk a little bit about this Townfall thing, which is a little different as well. And then boom, they're getting into Ascension, and it's like, all right, okay, like nobody really knows what this is. But then they also go on to talk about the fact that they're coming out with I'm doing it again. Silent Hill movie. This is such a bad idea to talk about these two at the same time, but it is what it is. They're coming out with the Silent Hill movie or a sequel to the Silent Hill movie that I had mentioned earlier that, was made way back when. So like there's some transmedia elements to some of this stuff. And it kind of feels like that's where Konami might be going with this. Like, we'll get to it a little bit later, but there might be some other things that they might come out with. We know they've made the Castlevania TV show and so on and so forth. So like it's kind of cool to see them doing something finally with these IPs and trying something different, because that is one of those things that we have talked about in the past. Even we were talking about earlier, right? Like, we don't necessarily get as many people trying new things, and they just want to do remakes and remasters and so on and so forth. But at the same time, if you can shadow the line and do both, you can remake a game and have it be done well, and then also take that IP and try new things with it. Definitely good, definitely beneficial. I don't know. Definitely like kind of in wait and see mode with this. But Manny, what do you think about this Ascension thing?
I when I think of an immersive project where people participate, the only part that throws it off is like people around the world. But like I was kind of thinking of like an interactive story of how like you guys play Man of Medan. Was it Man of Medan? Yeah, that game, like that kind of interactive. Like I kind of feel like it's gonna be that thing where it's like maybe a single player experience, and then like maybe what I forgot. I know you said something about Dust Falls.
As Dust Falls, and then the Man of Medan stuff. What's that other one that just came out? The Quarry, Telltale. Like in a sense.
I wonder if it's gonna be like like an online thing where like you're just playing it like in a horror room, and like people can just watch your stream and they can like fucking throw shit at you by like having an interactive button on Twitch or something like that. I wonder if it'll be that immersive, or if it's just gonna be like another like one of those Until Dawn story-like games.
The way they present it, and I mean it could just be what we've already seen before, right? With some of these games. But the way they present it as if that is the whole crux of this, I'm hoping and I believe that it's something different. Because like if it really was just like, okay, this is a single player story that you could add that streaming element, that social element onto afterwards, sure, whatever. Then in my opinion, you just bill it as a single player experience, and then you kind of show off those features afterwards. But the way it was presented, where it's really like you look at the trailer, all they're showing is like the social features. Like you're seeing more about like people messaging things into like a chat box than you are at actual gameplay. So like I'm hoping that it's more than that. I think selfishly I want it to be more than that, just because I don't think I've seen anything like that before. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping it's more than just a button. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Please give us more than a button, please.
Yeah,
please.
You gotta do something different. Like take the risk. That's why you have something like the Silent Hill 2 remake, where it's like that's gonna sell, right? So now you're not in a situation where you're like, oh well, we need this franchise to do certain numbers, whatever. Like you've kind of solidified yourself in that realm, and then once you secure your bag, you get a chance to take more risk. So I'm assuming that's why they've placed this way. I mean, they obviously want to make money with this too, but you also want to try to take some creative risks and do things a little differently. That way, if it does hit and it's different enough, you differentiate yourself from what other people are doing, a la Resident Evil and Capcom. So I don't know. I feel like we not too long ago we're talking about like Konami and what the fuck are you guys doing? You should get bought out. And I think that tune has changed within the past day. Just seeing what's come about with the Silent Hill thing. But the one thing I do want to kind of talk about real quick, just kind of wrap this up a little bit, is if you notice with every single thing that we've talked about here, none of these studios that are making any of these experiences are owned by Konami. At that point, they're literally just outsourcing their IP to other people. Like, Bloober Team is making the Silent Hill 2 remake. Annapurna is dealing with this Townfall game. The Ascension thing we mentioned, that's Bad Robot Games and a couple other studios. And then that's one I don't even know who's making that one. I mean, that one could be an internal studio. I really don't know. They didn't talk about it as much. But generally speaking, all these other things you're seeing are being made by external studios. And it seems like it goes in line with like, okay, well, Konami doesn't want to deal with any of this stuff. They just are like, we own all these IP. Here, you make this, you make that, you make this, you make that. We'll basically just make money off of you. Is really what it boils down to at the end of the day. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I think it's cool at some level. It's better than just sitting on the IP and doing nothing with it. But I will say, since that does seem to be the route that they're going, kind of leads into my final question here. And for those of you who are watching and listening, I definitely want to get you guys' take on it too. So, make sure you comment down below with what your take or your answer. But what other Konami games would you guys want to see remade completely, by an external studio? And also, what developer would you want to see doing it? So, Manny, I'm going to start with you on this one here.
See, it sucks because, they're doing it with a lot of, smaller studios here. So it's I'm more of, they're giving, the small studios, their time to shine pretty much with, a AAA budget.
Mm-hmm.
But, if I had to go with a game, I already know my answer. I'm going to have to say Metal Gear. I feel like, even though it's still, relatively recent that Metal Gear 5 released in 2015. I love Metal Gear, so I want more. If I were to have a team do it, it's tough because I just don't know who I would trust having it. If you do a remaster of the original games, I would have Blue Point do that because Blue Point does a good job of remastering old games and making it look really modern and really good. Previously, for example, the Demon Souls, the game plays amazing for being a remaster. But if I had to choose somebody to remake it full on, it's tough because I want to say if it can just go back in time to when Ubisoft was in its prime and they were making Splinter Cell, the good Splinter Cell, I'll be fine with that, But Ubisoft now, I don't know if I would want them to be the ones making a Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Well, I would have to see how this, Splinter Cell remake works.
I feel that. I mean, yeah, I guess that they're really kind of the only name in stealth now, right? Kojima's moved
that's
on.
the only one I could think about. Yeah, with tactical espionage. When you play Splinter Cell back then, it's you can stealth or just fucking gun it out. But yeah, I can't think of any other studio, and I just have to give it to them sadly. And I hate that answer because Ubisoft has not been it.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. I mean, they could do something interesting with it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking, who else might make sense to touch that up, but I can't think of anything either.
I'll just give it to Blue Point. Give me a remaster of Blue Point. I'll be satisfied.
Okay. Well, Chris, what about you, man? Who you got?
To go with the Zone of the Enders, right? Because it's one of my favorite games from being a kid. Trying to think about who could remake it. I would say I almost have two answers. The part of me wants to say EA for a second, just because of what they did with Anthem and the flying, and there's so much flying and shit in Zone of Enders. It would be really cool to take some of those mechanics and throw them into that game. But ultimately, the mechanics would be cool, but I gotta throw it up. I would probably love to see Bungie take a crack at this. I would really, really love to see that. Yeah, I said it. I would love, because it's a kind of a different style of game for them, and they've got a couple things that they've done, obviously way before Destiny, and I think even before Halo, that people from back then loved. So I know that they can do this kind of stuff. it would just be a different look, and I would love to see them do it. And now that I kind of have seen what they're capable of, like, storytelling wise, as from what they've been doing in Destiny recently, the last couple of years, love to see that game like with a good story attached to it. As of right now, from what I remember when I was a kid, even though it's made by Konami, it still has that kind of that JRPG stank that I'd be hating. Whereas like it's a really cool game, and at its time, the graphics was cool and the gunfights was cool, but the story is kind of stupid. You know, it's just like what am I really doing here? Not a whole lot. So I don't know. I just really want to see somebody really make a good story and attach it to that game and get graphics. That's all. That's all I'm asking for. That's it.
Okay.
Nice and simple.
All right. So I have two developers that I want to see touch on this game here. So first off, the franchise is going to be Castlevania for sure. I feel like we're long overdue for a new game and, you know, just a complete revamp of the series. As far as who I'd want to make it, so I'll give you the AA developer answer and the AAA developer answer, right? AA developer answer is probably more interesting and realistic because it seems like Konami is willing to front the bill to give them AAA dollars, even though they're AA studios, a la what's going on with Bloober Team. But I think I forgot their name. I think it's called Super Giant Studios or Super Giant Games. The people who made Hades, basically. I would love to see them get a crack at making like a fully fleshed out AAA version of Castlevania. You know, like put the roguelike elements in there like you did with Hades, but, you know, have it be like 3D fleshed out, like really high level of combat. You know, some horror elements in it there too, since it's Castlevania. You know, you're dealing with vampires and whatnot. I think that would be really dope. Now, the AAA developer version of that, I would be interested in seeing id Software do that. The same people who made Doom and so on and so forth. I think that would be kind of cool. Obviously, they don't make third person, you know, like adventure based games with a lot of combat. They're more first person shooter, but, you know, at the same time, it'd be great to see that switch up, right? Like, Manny needs your help on this one. Who makes Horizon? Guerrilla Games?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were known for making first person shooters, right, in the past, and they switched it up, and, you know, look what they did with Horizon. So, you know, it'd be nice to see certain people step out of their comfort zone and do things a little differently. So that'd be my two picks.
You know, I'm surprised. I thought you were gonna say From Software, man. Like a From Software, Elder Ring like Castlevania game.
That'd be great.
I think that would knock it off the park.
It would be amazing, but that was too easy. That's too easy of an answer.
That's too easy.
So I had to switch it up. But yes, you are absolutely right. If you give me fucking From Software giving me like Castlevania in the underworld, fucking shit up. That's a guaranteed, like
that's an automatic game of the year right there.
That's a guaranteed hit. Everything they do at this point in time turns to gold. And you give them a franchise like Castlevania, forget about it.
Bro.
Yeah.
Castlevania could literally be at the same level as God of War and the rest of these games if they did it right. Truly believe that, man. Like, it has open world potential. It has not open world potential. You can make an action RPG. You can do a lot of different things with Castlevania and truly, really pull the greatness out of it, man.
I just feel like if you said do it right, you just got to do it first. You know, just start utilizing the IP at some point in time, because like obviously God of War fumbled to a point where it got to where it is. You know, like it was bad for a while. They stopped. They figured out what wasn't working, and they made this fucking masterpiece. You have to at least try something first. You know, like throw something at the wall and see what sticks. You know, just to get a gauge of what, you know, you can and can't do. Just start something. Really is what it boils down to. And you're right though. If they did it at all and they hit it, you know, they hit it right, yeah, it would be as big as God of War. Like it would Easily be huge. And it would move more numbers than God of War because it would be multi-platform, you know, like so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's another one of those head scratchers, but at the same time, there's hope at the end of the tunnel because obviously Konami's doing things with Silent Hill, so that means they understand something, right? They understand that something could be working. I'm sure they'll see the reactions to all this stuff and say, all right, well, we're heading in the right direction. Let's see whenever this Silent Hill 2 remake hits and how much money it makes and all that, the acclaim it gets. Then we can start seeing, where it leads us down that path of getting more and more of these, Konami games. Maybe we'll get the Metal Gear, maybe we'll get Zone of Enders, maybe we'll get Castlevania. I'd imagine it's a process, but I'm willing to see where we're at in 5 years for sure.
Yeah, well, we can give them that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. From them having done basically nothing for more than that, I think a 5-year plan could be interesting. See where they
for sure.
Where they move pieces and how things shake out, and make sure that they're partnering with the right people, as it looks like they're doing with Boober Team and Bad Robot Games and so on and so forth. It seems like they're starting to pair up with the right people, so this could be very good long term. It creates kind of a unique situation in comparison to publishers who own IP and also own developers, because they have to, like, those studios have to make their developers work on these games, whereas Konami's in an interesting situation where they can say, all right, well, we'll go hand pick exactly who, what independent studio we want to go utilize this IP, and I don't know, it could put them in a better situation than some other people. So see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, very interesting conversation with this stuff. Very interesting with Konami in particular. I mean, great to see Resident Evil still doing its thing, but to finally see Silent Hill coming through again, and we've said it before, but it's a great time for horror games. We're getting Dead Space, getting Callisto Protocol. We're supposed to get that Outlast game, the Outlast Trials game. It's just great, especially with Halloween around the corner. More and more announcements for horror games. I'm here for it, man. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. But yeah, I think it's a good place for us to leave it for today, guys. Thank you guys again for watching and listening. We'll check you guys out next week with some more content. Hopefully we get some more big announcements. We got the new Call of Duty that dropped today, technically, the campaign. So we'll be talking a little bit about that next week for sure. And yeah, until then, guys, peace.